Hello Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma, welcome to the Culinary Kitchen. This is Chef Jason of Native Chef LLC. Today we're going to be doing a New Year's Day feast, and what's fun about this is I get to share my most favorite recipes with you that our family enjoys with New Year's. And I know there's a lot of recipes out there, a lot of people like to enjoy different things. Today we're going to be doing steak, and we're going to be doing this steak over the top of this really yummy brown rice pilaf we're going to make, and it's going to be simmered in the oven, so it's going to be nice, like I like to say, plastic fork tender. We're going to be pan searing it real good, then we're going to top it with some mushrooms and some onions, and we're going to let that slow simmer for a while. So again, thank you so much for watching. You have to look at those recipes and think to yourself what needs to be done first, and this is going to be in the oven for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, so that's number one. We got to get that in the oven. So got a lot to do. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let's get started. First up, I'm going to trim some of this fat off. And the deal with the fat is that a lot of people will say leave it for flavor, but what happens is after you cook it, people don't even know it's there and they'll eat it. So they're not going to miss it. So we're going to work on cutting some of this fat off, and then we're going to cut it into equal parts, about 5 to 6 servings. Now that I have the fat cut off, I have a seasoning mix of salt and pepper here. So we really want to season both sides of the steak with salt and pepper. A few of these pieces are small, so this will be like a portion of 2. One person can have 2. We want to always pay attention to our portion sizes and make sure that we're not eating too much, but not skimping on it at all either. And before we start searing our chicken, or our steak, we're going to cut some strips of onion. This is a yellow onion. All I'm doing is I'm just cutting down, and this will go on top of our steak, and it'll cook down onto the top. And then we'll simply just quarter some brown mushrooms. I like to leave these bigger because they're going to really shrink up, and we don't want to lose them where we can't see them anymore. So leave them a little bit chunkier. And again, if you don't wash these, rinse or use a damp paper towel, and that'll help get some of that dirt off if there is any. I preheated a large skillet here, and we're going to add about a tablespoon of oil. Make sure you get that oil all over the pan. And now we're going to sear our steak. You really want to get a nice crust on it. It'll be a nice presentation later. Notice we have a nice sear on both sides. What this is doing is helping get the presentation, but it's also helping hold in some of those juices and creating a crust on the top. So what we'll do now is what I did is I took a casserole dish and I pan sprayed it with pan spray. That'll make your life so much easier later on when we do our dishes. So we're just going to remove the steak to the casserole dish. And then once we put it in our casserole dish, I just got a can of cream of mushroom soup here. You don't really need to spread it out too much. It's just going to melt right down to the bottom. So we're going to cover the steak with 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And then we'll add our onions right on top. And then we'll put our mushrooms right on top. And we'll cover it, and I preheated my oven at 350, so we want to put this in the oven at 350 covered for about 1.5 to 2 hours. That depends on your oven. So this is all about timing. So there's about 40 minutes left with cooking our sirloin steak, and now that's when we want to start our rice. So I'm going to put a cup of long grain brown rice in here, and I'm going to put 2 cups of water, and we're just simply going to bring this to a boil. And now at a full boil, we'll just cover it and we'll turn the heat down to simmer. And we want to basically let the rice absorb all of the water, and we'll just put it on a low flame, and we'll let it simmer until all the water is absorbed. Now that our rice is simmering, we'll go ahead and get our bell peppers cut up. So we just want to small dice these bell peppers, take the middles out, knock out the seeds, and then take the time on these to get that white part. See that white part in there? Especially since we're going to small dice these, take the time to do that. And this middle part, you always want to cut away from yourself, never cut towards you. So this middle part, we will just kind of push the knife away from our hands there. And then what we want to do is we want to cut strips this way. And then once we have strips, we want to small dice. So whenever we small dice, it's going to be pretty tiny, and we'll just cross cut this way. And then we're going to cross cut a fine dice of red onion. And this is a half an onion. We're not even going to need half of it. We don't want to overwhelm it with red onion. So all I did was I just cross cut about every 1/8 of an inch across, not all the way through. And then I'm going to turn it at this angle and get these nice fine pieces here. Now we want to small dice a zucchini. So basically we cut it into strips first. And then once we have them in strips, we'll cross cut into matchsticks, and then we'll just finely dice these. And we want about one small zucchini, not too much. We're looking more for color. It's been about an hour and a half, and my oven's a little bit more powerful than a lot of people's, so took it out. It smells amazing. You can't see the steak, but you will after we plate. And you see that soup kind of just melted on top, and what that's doing is that's tenderizing the meat. So you see the mushrooms, they've shrunk up quite a bit, and the onions have developed a nice color on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this uncovered until we plate, and then we'll throw together our rice. So it took about 35 minutes to really soak up all that water, liquid at the bottom. So that's what we want. We don't want any water left. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use the heat to heat up our veggies real quick. So we'll go ahead and throw this rice pilaf together. So very quickly here, like I said, we want to use the steam from the rice to partially cook our veggies. So I'm going to put the rice, when it's really, really warm, into the bowl here. And then we'll add our bell pepper. I have some black beans here that I rinse really well. The reason that I rinse them really good is because you want to get some of that sodium content that's on there and let them dry really well. So we'll add our beans, our bell pepper, our onion, and our colorful zucchini here. And we're going to really toss this really well. And then we're going to add some sea salt and black pepper. And again, really, really, really mix this well. And then we'll move our rice to our serving buffet style, since we're celebrating New Year's Day today. Recipes, at least. And then we'll remove our steak to our serving platter as well. Really, really smells amazing here. Really, really smells amazing here. I hope you try this recipe at home. I wish you could smell this. The aroma from the steak is just incredible. Had a great time. Again, Happy New Year's to everybody. I'm so thankful I get to share some of my favorite recipes. There's a lot of recipes out there people do for New Year's Day, and this is one that the Champagne family does on a regular basis. So very happy, very thankful to have this opportunity to present. And you know, a few takeaways is you know, just watch the portion sizes. You know, the portion of steak we really need is about a deck of cards, about 4 to 5 ounces. So you want to be careful on that. Use bright veggies like we did. You notice how I used the heat and steam from the rice, and that partially cooked the veggies, and that's what we want. We want to partially cook them. We don't want to overcook them. And there's enough heat from the rice to do that. Use colors. If you don't like a red bell pepper, use an orange bell pepper. Use a yellow bell pepper. Use a green bell pepper. Use different veggies. If you don't like black beans, use pinto beans or use Great Northern beans. The whole point is that the recipe is up to you. I'm just giving you an idea of how to go, how I like to cook, how I like to use colors. So the way I would do this is I would, you know, put this on the bottom and then put the steak on top and take some of that juice and get it in there, and really amazing dish. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Happy New Year's to everybody. Please stay safe and stay well out there. Thank you so much for watching. Until I see you in the next video, take care and stay well. Miigwech.